joined today by Maxwell Gledhill, who is the founder and lead director of the Florida Interscholastic Cycling League. Now, you might not have heard of this, but it's something that you're going to hear of, and I want you to pay attention to because he has started in Florida a fantastic organization as part of a larger national collegiate, National Interscholastic Cycling Association. So this has been around for many years, but he's just getting it started in Florida. So Maxwell, give us an idea of what you're doing and what your goal is here.
Thank you. So what we're doing is we've started the Florida Interscholastic Cycling Association. We just started in June of this year, and our overall goal is to get more kids on bikes, to become part of the cycling community, cycling family across the state. And we're doing this by starting in 2020, our first race series. And we want as many kids, no experience necessary, to be a part of this program. And we're going to put the tools out there to help people become a part of it. And we really need some coaches.
All right, so back up a little bit. You have a Florida organization, and purpose of it is to put kids not just on any bike, but you want them on mountain bikes. This is a mountain biking association. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Right.
So we are a mountain bike association, and the goal, again, is for kids to experience a mountain bike race, or even just to kind of get out and experience the trails. They don't even have to race.
All right. So let's drop back a little bit and put this into perspective. I know that the umbrella organization is NICA. Is that correct?
Yes.
And give us the history of NICA and what's the level of participation that you've experienced or seen in other states?
Okay, great. So NICA was kind of formed in 2001 as the NorCal League, Northern California League. It was started by a high school math teacher who wanted to kind of do something after school with the students, and it grew rapidly. And by 2009, NICA was formed as a 501c3 nonprofit. And at that point, they became kind of the umbrella organization to develop and kind of model their program in NorCal to other states. And as of now, in 2018, there are 25 leagues in 24 states. California split into two, and they're all over from Maryland all the way out to Oregon. Currently, there are over 14,000 student athletes. As of 2017, there were a little over 6,000 coaches that volunteered, and a total of over 10,000 volunteers, adult volunteers, have participated in NICA leagues on a national level.
So this is a new program in Florida. You don't have leagues started. This is something that you've taken the responsibility to begin in Florida. Is that correct?
Correct. We are the first league in Florida that's affiliated with the NICA program.
Okay. And what's the age group that you're aiming at?
We are aiming at grades 6 through 12. So as long as a student is in grade 6 up until they graduate, we will gladly accept them, and they could even be homeschooled students, so they do not have to
okay.
Public or private school.
All right. So what is the program going to look like? So fast forward us. I know your race season begins each year in December, and it goes through, I think, the spring. Is that correct?
Yes.
So fast forward us, the first race season that you envision would be 2020. And what do you envision beginning at that point?
Well, our vision is, so our first season will be spring of 2020. The races will start into February and run until early May. But the season starts in December, and that's when the teams will start practicing. And during that time, teams all throughout the state, so this isn't just in, say, Tampa or Tallahassee, it's everywhere around the state, teams will participate in weekly practices, learn the skills, work with their local trail organizations to kind of work on the trails, and then prepare for the race events. And the really cool thing about the race events during the race season is it's not just an hour-long race, they're weekend-long events. So we have the venue for an entire weekend. Families come in, they spend Saturday doing a pre-ride. We'll have other events going on that day. And then Sunday, all day, it's racing. So we don't throw all the kids out together at once. They'll race in their categories. So 6th grade students with 6th grade students. We have female and male categories.
All right. And what about, I mean, do these kids have to be super competitive? What about kids who want to be involved, but they really don't foresee themselves racing?
Yeah, great question. They don't have to be experienced at all. In fact, I have a couple of really cool facts. Fewer than 10% of all NICA students out of those 14,000 nationwide, fewer than 10% had ever even raced before, and fewer than 26% had ever even ridden a mountain bike on a trail.
Wow.
Our goal is not to develop the next mountain bike, U.S. Olympic athlete or pro mountain biker. Although Kate Courtney was a product of NICA, who just won, and she was part of the NorCal League. So it can happen, and kids that really drive on that competitive experience, it will be there for them. But we want kids that just to have experience, to get outside on the trails. So no, there's no requirement at all, no experience mountain biking. We will train the coaches to train the students.
So to me, I think a lot of people will be listening to this thinking, this sounds like a boys' sport. How about girls?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely not just a boys' sport. We are, NICA, one of our key core values is inclusivity and equity. And we basically want everyone to be a part of it. And currently nationwide, about 20 to 22% of all the student athletes and coaches are female. And our goal, and NICA's goal, is to increase that to at least a third. And NICA's developed a program called GRIT, which is Girls Riding Together. And every league we have a GRIT team here in Florida, and we're ready to go. And our goal is to get out there and just basically expose mountain biking to everyone, but especially female riders and female coaches, and really try to recruit and get the girls out on the trail.
So is this going to be something that's going to be like clubs will form in schools, or are these going to be clubs that are forming, between schools, not tied to a particular school? Give us some more information about that.
So yeah, that's a good question, and it's kind of maybe a lengthy answer. I'll try to shorten it. But so our goal is for teams to form at a school level, but that's not probably going to happen at first. So we have a couple different options for team formation. So there can be club teams if a school is okay with that, where the teams would actually use the school name and the school mascot. But we can also have what are called composite teams. And I formed a composite team in Tallahassee. Composite teams are teams where you can have kids from multiple schools within a geographic region. So if you're in a rural area, you might need to get kids from all over that county. Or if you're in a city, you can have kids from a middle school and a high school all on the same team. And you can have independent teams and independent riders as well. So there's no affiliation with the school. They can come up with their own name. And all of the teams will fall underneath the Florida League's rules, regulations, and insurance. So we are not a part of the Florida High School Athletic Association.
Okay.
So we're kind of our own entity. So yeah, that's kind of how we'll form it.
So when I think of mountain biking, I think of danger. I think of mountains and drops and technical and a lot of stuff that could get kids in trouble. That's not necessarily what you're aiming at here. So I think a lot of the people that watch our program are road bikes, road cyclists.
Right.
And I think most of us may not really be familiar with the extent and availability of mountain biking, even in Pinellas County, that's so urbanized, and counties that surround us. So talk about that a little bit, and talk about the nature of the track or the place where these kids will be conducting these events.
Okay. So we are a cross-country league. So this is not downhill racing. This is not Red Bull adventure racing. We actually encourage our students, athletes, to keep their wheels on the ground. So that's kind of what it's about. But really what this is, it's more the trails that we'll be using will be across the state. And typically there'll be loops anywhere from 3 to 6 miles. And NICA and the Florida League's main goal is safety after fun. But you gotta have both. So risk management is really high on our list. When we go out and select courses, we want them to be challenging, but more from a fitness level. They're not going to be super technical trails. There might be a couple of trail aspects, but our whole point is that we want the kids to get out and enjoy it, to increase their fitness level, and maybe there'll be a couple of challenges that they'll have to overcome, but It's actually very safe. The overall NICA has some really good statistics in terms of injuries, and there's very few large injuries with the sport.
Okay. Well, I think most things in life that involve fun involve some level of injury. I mean, riding a ride at the fair has some level of that involved. So I think we have to expect some amount of that. So we have kids that, and you and I were talking beforehand, the kids that are participating in this program generally have their own bike. Is that correct?
Correct.
But your goal is to create a program so that they don't have to have their bike, and talk to us about that a bit.
Well, for every kid to participate, they will have to have a bike. But because of our inclusivity aspect and our equity aspect, which are two of our main core values, equity is about equal opportunity. So we don't want to say, yes, anybody can do this, but if you don't have a bike, sorry. So our goal is to, at least in the first few years as a league, as the Florida statewide league, is to secure a fleet of bicycles. So students on teams, if they don't have a bike or they really want to participate, they can apply for a scholarship. And once they apply for that, our goal is to lend that student the bike for the season, and they'll have that bike for the season. And as teams grow, what I've found is that local communities really dive into this and provide a whole lot of support, and bikes just kind of start being donated.
So a lot of people have mountain bikes in their garage. They've got kids that went off to school and don't use their mountain bike anymore. Those are all sources of donations, correct?
Correct. And I will tell you that I know in the mountain bike community, it's always about the newest, coolest technology and kind of the most expensive bike, but it doesn't have to be. They can still be bikes with cantilever brakes. They can be 26-inch wheels. Just anything to get the kids outside and experience this would be perfect.
Okay. So I know one of the things we haven't really talked about, we were discussing before we went on the air about, so what is the goal from a child's perspective of why you have this organization? What are you molding in these kids?
Well, we are, NICA and the Florida Interscholastic Cycling League, we are a character development organization first. We are not a race organization. We just happen to use a mountain bike as our tool, and our goal really, besides getting the kids outside, I mean, that's one thing, but we want to introduce them to challenges. And so the racing aspect might be that challenge. And the whole goal of that is to have these kids kind of push themselves a little bit further than maybe they pushed themselves before, in a very fun and supportive environment. And by doing that, maybe they'll find their inner grit, or they'll have great success, or they'll experience failure, but in a really positive environment. And like I said before, the races are weekend-long events. The families participate. The coaches are all made up of family members. So it's the moms and dads. They're out riding with the kids. They're not on the sideline. Obviously, the day of the race, they're on the sideline, but at practices, they're riding with them.
Right.
Really, that is the goal, just to kind of have them experience something new, but challenge themselves, and also to be more self-sufficient. And I'm a teacher, and I have seen, working with kids on my own team in Tallahassee, if they get a flat and you're on the middle of a trail, you have to fix it. So you become self-sufficient, and you learn these skills that you didn't think you have. And what is that kids that do that on the trail take that into the classroom. And so if there's a problem in algebra where they're like, I just can't do it, well, they think back to that determination that they had on the trail, and if they put forth a little more effort, they tend to realize that they can do it.
Well, Maxwell received the Florida Bicycle Association 2017 Off-Road Program of the Year Award. So he's got some credibility behind him. I know that he's worked closely with Becky, the executive director of the FBA. You've been recognized by the FBA, and I think that you have a tremendous program that I think people will really get behind. So those of us who are watching this from the sidelines, what do you need the community to do to help you? How can we step forward?
Thank you. At this point, between now and probably June of 2019, my goal is to recruit as many volunteers as possible, specifically coaches at first, and people that would like to help form teams. And I know sometimes it seems like a daunting task, like, oh, I've never coached before, especially biking, and maybe I'm not even a mountain biker, maybe I'm a road biker, but that's okay. Sometimes the best coaches are the people with the least amount of, honestly, experience. as long as you're dedicated to working with kids and showing, new skills. So really that's what we need at first, because we won't have a league without teams, and we can't have teams without coaches. That's our first kind of goal. Our second goal is to also have volunteers to help me and my staff, not staff because we're all volunteers, but me and a few core team members that I have now to be core race staff. So every weekend event that we put on, we need quite a handful of people to run these events. And we will be statewide. So some of the people that I need would go to every event. But just if we're in an event, let's say at Alafaya, just if the local cycling community or just parents, anybody, they don't have to be cyclists, just came out for a day to volunteer to help us put on an event that's specifically for the kids, it would be amazing. And these really are, they're almost festival-like events.
So I was asking Maxwell before we went on the air about, so where are your volunteers? Where are these people coming from? And you've got a very cool map on your website that Katie's going to put the link up for that directly. And what I was amazed to find out is that your volunteers and participants are coming really through the central part of the state from Pinellas, where we're situated, St. Petersburg, Tampa, Lakeland, Orlando, sort of where the population hub is. And there's plenty of mountain biking opportunity in these areas already.
Yes, and what's great about the map is anybody that's interested, you can look at the map, and I've categorized the map. So there are people on the map that say they want to be volunteers, but there's others that are just parents that are looking for coaches. So it's a great place to go to. Even if you're just a parent and you want your student athlete to participate, you can go on and find a potential coach near you and communicate with those people to kind of get the ball rolling on this. And I'm starting next week a tour across the state to come and speak to anybody that wants me to come speak on how to become a coach, and we will get that ball rolling.
Well, your website is the Florida MTB mountainbike.org, floridamtb.org. And
Correct.
Katie's put the link up there for the map that everybody who's interested can participate in and go to and indicate your willingness to be involved. You know, this is as simple as writing a check. If you want to write a check, they need that as well. Every program getting started needs program funds. They need volunteers. They need bicycles. They need bicycles that can be donated for scholarships. We need clubs. We need bike shops that can donate bicycles, even used bicycles. All of those are part of the getting this thing off the ground. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off today, Maxwell?
The one thing that I want to state just real quick is that this is more than just, like I said, a race program, but it's a family kind of program. And for all of you out there that have never even ridden a bike, well, although you probably do because you watch this, but if you know people that haven't, I've seen this work where parents will actually go out and they end up buying mountain bikes to be a part of this program. So it's not just for the kids, it's for the families, and it's a great way to support local bike shops. And if you're a bike shop owner, if you can support a team, it will work both ways for everybody involved, because the kids love going to a shop and talking with the people and learning how to work on the bikes. And it's just a really cool kind of hands-on family activity.
Well, that's terrific. And I appreciate you joining us today. Go to floridamtb.org. Click on the map. Katie's got the link on the site. You can go back and look at this at any time. I'm the Florida Bike Guy. I'm Jim Dodson from Jim Dodson Law. If I can ever help you on any bike-related crash or other injury case around Florida, I'm here for you. I always tell people you're more apt to be in a car wreck than in a bike crash. So we're here to help you at any time, and we will come to you if we need to. So that's it from the Florida Bike Guy. Good luck, Maxwell. I'll be watching for the development of your league, and we'll catch up with you as the year progresses.
Thank you. I appreciate it.